go and look at that property, and determine that it's not gonna work for the use of a potential fire station if we need to go that route. Really, other than that, they've asked us to, look at the possibility of designing, a needs department to be able to house some things. Kind of in the process of that, they're trying to get costs in their head about what would it cost us to do this, what would it cost us to do that, before we can even talk about any possibilities of numbers or anything like that. It's basically, we're still in the feasibility area of it, but moving forward to discuss the feasibility of it. And that's pretty much where we're at.
When you say they're asking to design a needs station type thing, they're asking who? You?
Yeah, they asked me to put some ideas down on paper.
Right.
And, so I just did a quick little 1-hour blueprint type of thing for them. A couple of bedrooms, couple of bathrooms, just a real basic type of thing, so they can go out and say, what do you need in a fire station, minimum needs. And so I did that for them, and they're gonna go out and kind of get an idea of what it might cost to do that, to see if it's even feasible to do something like that. So, I know that we haven't had talks for a while. I know the town of Palmyra is going through this thing with the chicken farm, and so Winona has been very, very booked up with that right now. So, she called me back once. I left her a message. She called me back and said, Scott, I don't have time. I'm dealing with this. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're just still looking at the feasibility of doing it, and nothing really further.
So they haven't patched things up with the village?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
The one concern that I have with this whole thing is on the far, far side of the town of Palmyra, that's an awful long ways to get out there to, take care of a call if one would come up.
It is, but if they're talking about creating a station there for the town of Palmyra that we would manage and that we would staff, that would put us in that area and in that district. So.
Okay.
So what have these discussions had for staffing needs and how staffing will be covered when we have gaps in March?
Well, right, we had gaps in March, we have some gaps in April.
So what have the discussions been when we're researching this of how we staff this for town employees?
The discussions are, for staffing, is that we would consider staffing it exactly like we staff our 2 stations now, during the week with a couple of part-time and paid on call at night and weekends. I know that Winona has talked to some people that 10 years ago that left when everything kind of fell apart, and they've gone to other departments and they would love to serve a department in their own community again. So we haven't done a ton of feelers out there because we're still in the feasibility part of it, right? So, but we
I
haven't.
understand that,
Yeah.
but the staffing's a huge part of that feasibility.
It is, absolutely.
I would suggest those feelers get put out pretty quick.
Yeah. I completely agree, and we have talked about that, and that's why she's kind of feeling, but we, instead of broadcasting out, hey, would you consider coming back, doing actual demographic studies, and that's gonna be coming up. Right now, we're just trying to see if we can, if it's even feasible to put it together. And yes, that staffing is a large concern, and both sides know that as we talk through this, that staffing is a large concern.
I think we're still looking for trouble getting into business with those people. I just don't like the idea at all, but I'm in the minority here, so.
Well, I understand discussion and research, no harm, no foul. I voted against it. I find it very frustrating on my aspect that we have to look at the feasibility of this because they're under a deadline of December 31st. But they're too busy to help on their part. This is their issue, this isn't our issue. I think Don and Gary can attest for me as well. All 3 of our municipalities have been really busy the last couple months. But this is going to be our problem to solve. I'm sorry, I believe this is the town of Palmyra's problem to solve. If they're too busy to be able to look at it or meet about it, that's their priority, not mine.
Well, up until the last 3 days, they have been, and we have been talking, we've been going in, meeting and looking at properties and things like that. It's the last 3 or 4 days, I was trying to get an update for tonight's meeting from where they are. Cause I believe the village of Palmyra had a meeting Monday night, and this was actually on the agenda, I believe. I don't have an agenda in front of me, but I wanted to talk to her to get an update, and that's where she did, Scott, I don't have time right now. So it's been just the last couple of days for that.
That's a pretty big disclaimer, because in the beginning you said, she said they're busy with S&R and she didn't have
Yeah.
time, so.
Well, like I
That
said, the
can be
last 3
taken
days.
as 24 hours, that can be taken as the last month since we
That's
talked.
why I clarified it on your statement.
That's one of my concerns about it too, is, you got a lot on your plate, and you don't have a lot of extra time to be fooling around with that. And they're not putting in their effort towards it, and they're expecting you to do more. That just rubs me the wrong way.
But they are putting in their effort. Again, the last 3 days, because of this whole SNR egg farm thing or chicken thing, you know, everything's focused on there, just like all the municipalities, they have their moments where they just have to focus on something. Right now, these few days, that's what they're focused on. And I understand that. You know, there's days when I can't do anything with that either, because I'm focused on these 3 municipalities, right? So, kinda goes hand in hand and back and forth. And, you know, right now, I understand that, and so I got them some information they wanted, like these is the needs department.
That's just one drawing, because we have another one, because my construction company is the one that went out and looked at this building and basically convinced them it would not work. You know, they're looking at doing some other things. Logically, if it goes to construction, I'm not bidding, because I'm on the board, there's no way I'm doing that. But I will help along those lines to see if it's even feasible, because, I don't know if they can afford to put up what they wanna put up to begin with, so we'll have to see. But we'll get some numbers and, cause I don't think we're gonna invest $500,000 or $750,000 in a building. You know, that's whatever goes with them. And I can't tell you that's where it's gonna come out. But I can tell you to the size of it, it's 80 by 60. And it's built, would be constructed for 4 vehicles, even though there would probably be 3 there. So give them an expansion capability. But right now, his drawing and our drawing from our architect are totally different. So I've got a couple of things to look at and make a decision. And then I can give them some rough numbers, and then they can figure out if it's worth their time to continue the talks from their side. Because it was gonna take probably in the neighborhood of between $500,000 and $750,000 to make the building that they were looking at work. That's a lot to put in an hour. So, that's what I have there to discuss.
Can I speak? Or am I out of order?
Well, we had public comment earlier.
Then I won't.
Are you representing town Palmyra?
I'm representing a taxpayer of the town of Palmyra. I read this board, some people are confused, I don't know what's gonna happen. And I read 3 people that are probably opposed to this because it's not making a lot of sense. And it's probably not making a lot of sense because the town of Palmyra can't get along with the village of Palmyra, and they're right under their nose. This has been going on since I've lived there for 16 years. So I guess I can understand your apprehension and your apprehension.
My apprehension isn't with town or the village of Palmyra. My apprehension is with,
Your apprehension is that there's a major cost involved to do this, and is it workable?
no, my apprehension is having any municipality join us when we just started and we're having issues getting our department going. We don't even have staffing solid for our department, and that burden on our staffing. Scott included, these gentlemen that are sitting here, the burden's on them. And I don't wanna burn them out, I don't want them saying, hey, I can't keep doing this phase because we decided to add another municipality. In my opinion, this has nothing to do with any issue between town of Palmyra and village of Palmyra. Town of Quantico could have asked us this, Wales could have asked us this, I have that same issue with our staffing. We are not staffed to take on another municipality, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you because I used to run a $150 million company, so I understand why you're concerned.
This is not supposed to be a debate with the public.
It's not a debate. I'm only voicing an opinion.
Public comment.
You can ignore me.
Back to the board, any more discussion to the board?
So it's off the record. I only make
It's on the
notes,
record.
my notes are for myself.